It's not even helping matter at all, because we know they get customers we they used to get before. People know they agree enter now because we don't increase where we they run 150 now to 200. So people now they track am. They know they even they lose customer. I don't know what in our Nigeria they turn to. Anything where they want do, we do. What we know is they make them do us better.
It's my business in so many ways. In so messengers, they are no longer entering. Yeah, they are no longer entering our vehicle.
We've been paying from 15 naira we started on this road, but owing to the increment in items, we increased to 100. From 100 to 150, now it's 200 naira.
Welcome to another conversation here on Hard Facts on 92.3 Nigeria Info. I am Kala Dakurubataboy. It's my pleasure having you listen in as we, push conversations for development. Remember, we're live on Facebook, we're live on YouTube, we're active on X, Nigeria Info PH. You can also follow me on social media, Kalada, THEKALADA. 11 minutes gone past 5. And yes, once again, you're welcome. Good afternoon. All right, let's look at what my conversation is for the hour. My conversation is the fuel price hike. Last week, we were told that in Abuja, petrol was increased to 1,030 naira, which represented about almost 15% increment in the price of petrol in Abuja. Lagos saw an increment from 885 naira to 998 naira, 2 naira short of being 1,000 naira per litre. And that is, by the way, for NNPCL petrol stations. Now, that meant that the independent marketers petrol stations that sold fuel or petrol at somewhere around the region of 1,000, 150 or 1,002 would, by now they must have increased their prices. And we're being told by that sound bites that you listen that in Port Harcourt, a litre of petrol is now being sold between 1,260 naira and 1,300 naira. And it is interesting, what is happening. By the way, just to add to the conversation, not that we're going to dwell on it, just to add, I saw the article that said a kg of cooking gas is now sold at 1,500 naira. So that also has gone up. Once again, that's just me mentioning that statistic in passing. There's also the issue of electricity billing, also mentioning that in passing. But let's focus on what is, what is our conversation, petrol hike or, hiking petrol price, right? That's our conversation. I want to really get your thoughts. I'm not going to talk much. I'm just going to lay the foundation and open the phone lines and get your thoughts. But okay, first, I would like to start with, once again, this brings us to that conversation about the refinery. On two occasions, I think, I have spent time to, give data on how much we have spent since Abacha's time. Abacha was head of state, for those of you who do not know. Since that time up until now, that's sometime in 1996, it was in 1997, we have spent huge amounts of dollars, millions of dollars, I think now amounting into billions, to refurbish, to repair the refinery. But it's looking like that is an elephant project. Now, Dangote, who has not built his refinery somewhere around the region of, is it $17+ million, came out once upon a time to shout that, hey, the kind of mafia, the kind of cabal in the oil and gas sector, oh my goodness. Now, when you think of Dangote's statement, you will not realize how long it took for the National Assembly to get the Petroleum Industry Act ready. You then think how long it has taken for the refinery to work, still not working. It's been off and on over the years. You then also think about, several factors, the depletion the several factors that causes the depletion of crude oil production in the country. Now, you would also agree that some of the multinationals have decided to leave their onshore facilities. They sold some of their onshore facilities, and they are going. So when you think about it, what really is happening in the country, and that's what I'm trying to talk about on the show today. Dangote announced, was it yesterday, that he will start his own crude oil production in 2025. And, I do feel this is like a follow-up to the talk about crude oil, or is it oil and gas mafia or cabal that has ensured that the system does not thrive. I was going and scrolling through social media today. Some people have the conspiracy theory that, the West, the United States, the United Kingdom may be, subtly responsible for some of the economic, crisis that we're faced with. They've said neo-colonialism is at play. But I wonder if that is really the case. Now, looking at Nigeria, we've got over 200 million people. We have about 10,000, if not more, professors in Nigeria. We have more than 20, and I'm giving you statistics, by the way, more than 20,000 PhD holders. And one would wonder if the problems, economic problems, faced or bedeviling Nigeria is something that is a rocket science, that is too difficult to handle. Is it too difficult to get the refineries working? I'm wondering, is it too difficult to build a new refinery? Anyways, some of the questions in my head. However, I'm more interested as to what the impact of the current petrol price is on people living in Rivers State and neighboring states. Now, you heard some taxi drivers complaining how they no longer have clients, or should I say people, patronize their vehicles. People now opt to trek short distances and then get into a cab or a taxi to their final destination. I saw someone post on Facebook, a mutual friend of mine, who said from Choba to Rumola is now 1,000 naira. And to be honest, I think there was a time when it was 100, or is it 150 naira? Correct me if I'm wrong. Now it's 1,000 naira. It is times what? Times 6 the price? Is it 5 now? It's times 6, 7 the price, right? And he says he has to work from Choba to Ozwoba after the construction to get a bus to get to Rumola. And I began to wonder what really is the ordeal Nigerians are faced with when we talk about the economic reality. And to a large extent, if not an entirety, petrol is responsible for some of the economic, situations we find ourselves in. Now, Mele Kyari, the GCEO of NNPCL, was talking. A lot of articles and news platforms carried the news item where he was saying that it was necessary for the removal of fuel subsidy in June last year. Now, he said it ended the price arbitrage and de-incentivized fuel smuggling to neighboring countries. Now, in the last 40-sometime years, I'm quoting him now, PMS has always been subsidized. Fuel subsidy created arbitrage, that is the difference between the price in one location to the other. When Mr. President announced the removal of fuel subsidy in June, what he did was to calibrate price. There is no longer in the value of anyone taking the product to the borders, he said. Recall that in June 2024, Tinubu announced fuel subsidy removal, which saw the price of fuel increase to above 517 naira per litre from somewhere around the region of 238 naira. And even the 238 naira, remember, it was a logistics problem that cost the increase, because it was sold somewhere around the region of 160 and 180 naira per litre. And if we follow the trend, and if we say, there is the full deregulation of the pricing of petrol, there is the possibility that petrol may get to 2,000 naira per litre. I'm not a prophet of doom, because yesterday we saw the marketers and experts, on one of the front pages tell Nigerians that, see, there is the likelihood that given full deregulation, the price of PMS may go up one more time. So I'm thinking, how are you reacting to it? All of these things happening, how is it impacting, your lives? What is your take? We're not all experts in terms of economy, but we are feeling the current economic reality. And what are you feeling? What is it like in your life? Your economic reality. I like to hear from you. Really, I do, because we're also being told that Dangote has been given crude oil sold in naira, and that may likely impact the price of petrol. But I wonder how, because if, for instance, the petrol is a crude barrel is sold for, let's say, $1 million. I don't know how much it's sold, but let's say, okay, I think I do, right? I think I do. I do have the statistics somewhere written. So just give me a minute to check it out. Okay, so let's say crude is sold. Where's that again? Brent crude is sold for, let's say, $77, or let's say $80. Let's approximate it per barrel, right? $80. Even if you change it to naira, is it not still the equivalent of $80 in naira? I'm just giving an instance. Does that change anything? Will that really, really impact on the price? One would think, the fact that Dangote is now doing or refining crude oil, that there will be no longer issues of landing cost and all. But remember, on Friday when we looked into what the courses are, we were told by, was it Ipman or Petron, that the reason was logistic cost and talking about landing cost. So I really want to get your thoughts. We've been told by marketers that if they purchase directly from Dangote, there is the possibility that the price may come down. While we are hopeful and hoping, the question is, currently, how are you being affected by the current economic reality? Because it is worth talking about. And by the way, we're still looking at whether 70,000 naira is enough as minimum wage. I remember saying one time, and maybe I should revisit that conversation, that raising the minimum wage was not the problem, because raising the minimum wage would, what the saying is, more money, more problem, and that's what raising the minimum wage would cause, and it is looking like the reality now. And I did say, and I'm saying it again, what should have been the creation of industries where people get employed. The wealth is circulating, everybody gets to touch it. Not everybody, but a majority of the people get to touch it when industries are created, and taxes are being paid back to the government, and it's a full healthy cycle in the economy. But what do I know? I'm not an economist. I'm going to go to the phone lines now. I think I do have a commercial, and after that, the headline news. All right, so after that, I'm going to go to the phone lines, and I'm going to get your thoughts on this conversation. How are you impacted by the current petrol price, especially when it relates to transportation, be it transportation to the office, transportation of goods as a businessman, transportation of your farm produce as a farmer, transportation to office services? How does this impact, and how are you coping in such a time? I'd like to hear from you. Do stay tuned. All right, the headline news: prices of food, cooking gas are in Port Harcourt. Rivers Local Government Election Tribunal opens. Factional PDP spokesperson Olugun Nagba says Rivers Party Congress knots by neck. INEC to begin PVC's collection on Thursday in Ondo State. Federal government assures Nigerians, says light at the end of the tunnel. Gunmen kill DPO, injure officer in Delta State. CAF probes Super Eagles ordeal in Libya. On the foreign scene, India recalls envoy from Canada over murder investigation. Details in the 6 p.m. bulletin. To reach the news team, send an SMS or WhatsApp to 0808-721-7215. To stay tuned, conversations continue.
This is Hard Facts.
All right, 5:31. Yes, a minute past the bottom of the hour. Whatever that means. You're still listening to Hard Facts in 92.3 Nigeria Info. I am yours truly, Kalada Kuribatabo. Good afternoon to you. Good afternoon. So, yeah, I mean, we're talking about the petrol situation in the country, fuel price hike, how it's impacting you. We've just listened to the news headline or the headline news, and we were told that the federal government has assured Nigerians that there is light at the end of the tunnel. So it's still part of our conversation, but really, is there light from your perspective? I want to hear, because I know the article reads, the federal government has assured Nigerians of better days ahead as it enacts policies aimed at revamping the nation's economy. Okay. So 08179230002, 08179230003, 08179230007. Let's take WhatsApp messages using the WhatsApp number 0809 0306416. You could also use of goods and personnel due to high transport costs. No economy can survive. It is really unfortunate that this APC government keeps pushing their failure to the masses to bear the burden. Who are the people smuggling this crude or petroleum products across the border? Who are the customs officers kept to watch over the border? Is there any poor Nigerian that owns petroleum tankers? Why are the refineries not working till this moment after subsidy removal? Very salient questions, I must say. Bernard from Port Harcourt, thank you very much. This one says, Kalada, we're too lazy and docile in Nigeria. Look at how NNPCL is increasing the price of petrol at will. How can we continue like this? Are these people using jazz on us? Look at the Port Harcourt refinery that they are using to play with us every time. Some days back, I told you they will soon increase VAT from 7.5 to 10%. You doubted me. Hope you're hearing how they want to increase it. They've not increased it, so I wouldn't take that as facts just yet. But you said Nigeria has been captured, according to Andy Akpotivi. Let's keep deceiving ourselves. Akpabio said we should avail ourselves wherever we see free food. Just imagine what is coming out from a Senate president. That's an old video, doctored video, according to experts. But this one says Nigerians, make gonna wake up. These people don't care about us. All right, Franklin, thank you for that one. Let's look at this one. This one says, if you check my WhatsApp page, I told Choma Zawafo that salary increase was not what Nigeria needed, but ensuring more people are employed. I reminded her manufacturers would need to increase prices to be able to pay workers. Is that not what is playing out with 70,000 naira minimum wage increase? When we refuse to think and allow sentiment, we reap all these hyperinflations that 3 square meals in the day. It is quite unfortunate that Nigerians are going through the hardship, fuel and economic hardship. When I take Clinton West, blame President Bola Tinubu for all these sufferings Nigerians are experiencing on a daily basis. In as much as I know, subsidy removal without good plans causes economic pain, and that is what Nigerians are passing through. All right, Clinton West, thank you. This one says, it is quite unfortunate that Tinubu is seeing Medicare doing well without being fired up until now. Everyday fuel price rises. Cooking gas price rises, yet nothing happens. Ogun Ojune Justice. But, I mean, is it really Melekiari's fault? Because when we say deregulate, when we say remove petrol subsidy, what we're saying is things like the dollar to naira, dynamics will affect the pricing of petrol. When we say that, we're saying things like landing cost and cost of production will affect the price of petrol, and that's the issue. And since NNPCL no longer has control of pricing, do we really blame Mele Kyari for that? Maybe we can blame him for not ensuring that the refineries are working. But then again, is he the tools man? Is it what they call them now? Is he the tools man that is responsible for repairing the refinery? These are some of the questions. Why can we build new refineries? Anyways, they say there is light at the end of the tunnel, so maybe. This one says, Stephen Ibiki is from Ajib. There's always a light behind the tunnel, says the federal government. Yes, no doubt, there's always a light at the tunnel, but what if you find the tunnel and the tunnel is dark? Just as Nigeria is dark and even darker to the point of no food, no job, and suffering as being the matter of the day. All right. This one says, it is very crazy how few prices got to the level it is. The worst thing that has happened to Nigeria is the president. He would have left us where he kept us back in those days with 3,000 naira. Your car tank will get filled and fuel pouring away. One day we're going to break loose, and it will be difficult for the president and his armies. Okay, let's. Sonididi, I'm going to stop it there. We're not calling for violence. It's a conversation for development. But Ida from Inkoro says the president should do something about the fuel price. People are suffering. If it comes down to 65 naira, it will be good for me. Please, you should do something. Thank you and God bless. This one says, okay, you could text him from Rumokoro. PDP, you're still talking PDP. We've moved on from that one. But this one says the political crisis. Okay, he said a few political class is holding the entire Nigerians down. What a pity. Fidelis Elemua from Chukuchu Eche. And this one says, good evening, Canada. The political... Oh my, I've moved on from the political crisis. Nazio, the comedian from Enika. Thank you nonetheless for sending in your messages. But we've moved on. We're looking at the petrol situation, the economic reality, and how it is impacting you. Can you tell me about it? I really, really like to hear. Anyways, you've heard the presidency, or is it the president or whoever was speaking for the federal government come out to say there is a light at the end of the tunnel. But what really is the light? Are we seeing industrialization? And now that someone mentioned Buhari, I also argued then, but it looked like I was anti-government. I always argued then that yes, roads are necessary, very necessary by the way. We need the basic infrastructures, but what we needed the most at the time was industrialization. So if, for instance, the Abacha loots that were coming in, they came in tranches. If those loots were used to set up the Ajokuta steel factory, for instance, which just like the refinery, since the 80s now, if I remember my statistics very well, they have also been trying to complete. Is it the 80s or the 70s now? They've also been trying to complete. And by the way, huge amounts of dollars have also been used for that completion. So imagine if that was working. We would have been one of the major suppliers of steel, which is a very important product. Imagine if we were mining gold that is, being illegally mined in the northern part of the country. Do you know what? I don't even want to go into the plethora of natural resources that we have. I don't want to go into all of that. I don't even want to touch that. I'm just talking about, imagine we are basically industrialized. Even to talk about going into agriculture, if we were really intentional as we claimed we were, ensuring quality over quantity, then just maybe, there would have been a boost, because that reminds me that we closed the border for so long a time, and yet we still could not boost local production, and we're back to where we are. And the petrol pricing is killing, many things, businesses. And you must have seen the statistics, by the way. Federal direct investments reduced drastically. Anyways, back to our conversation. How have you been impacted by the situation? 0817-923-0002, 0817-923-0003. I think I do have a commercial in a bit. I would just take one or two calls. I'm going to go straight to the phone lines now. 92.3 Nigerian Info, your name, your location, your country. Yeah, greetings to you.
Hello, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. Tell me your name and your location.
My name is Enzo. I'm calling from Rumoba.
Your name is?
Enzo.
Enzo.
From Rumoba.
Oh, okay. All right, Enzo, welcome.
About saying this line at the end of the corner. In Nigerians, when the president said we need hope, that's why I'm campaigning and voting for the renewed hope agenda. And renewed hope agenda is not a woman person. Renewed hope agenda is a process. And all the time, Nigerians are always quick to blame federal government. And I've been asking my people, what are the governments doing? Let's take Rivers, for instance. Let me use Niger Delta as a perfect case study. How much of the government invested in agriculture? Come to Niger Delta, riverine area. We have a lot of tying fallow. How are the government doing? For instance, swimming. Why can't the government invest heavily in sport? Olympics, build Olympics swimming pool, identify the talent, second them, send them to the countries to go and defend, to go and swim for Nigeria. Why can't they do it? It's all about constructing routes. How much have you invested in sports? That is one of the simplest things people in the general society. Have they invested in sports? But every time we say federal government, bought hardship for Nigerians.
But I agree the state governors and the local governments have got roles to play, but petrol is very central, and we focused on petrol and the petrol pricing. I think state governors got much.
No, I understand. The state government remove subsidy. That's what they remove subsidy. That's why a little with 1,000 pounds now. And the subsidy that the government said needs to pay. This is what been done now. State governors. What are they doing with it? That do you? It's not the robot. The tax subsidy that has been removed. The money.
But yes, the money may have been so listen. Yes, subsidy removed, but what is the value of the money that is gotten? I mean, you need to also put that into consideration. So let's say it was 14 naira before, right? I was paying 20 naira subsidy on your behalf, and then I removed subsidy, but it's no longer 14 naira like it used to be. So I mean, think about it. You're not getting.
Sorry.
Okay, you know what? We will continue this conversation, the open season. The reason why I was afraid to take calls was because of the instability of the network. But I've got to go. My colleague is chasing me out of the studio. Apparently there's a commercial, but when I did come back, we'll talk some more. Please just stay tuned.